ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ श्री सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ ध्यायामि चिन्मयानन्दं गुरुदेवं महामतिं प्रेमपूर्णं क्रियाशीलं सदा लोकहिते रतं कृपालुं सुन्दराकारं समर्थं सत्यदर्शिनं वाचा तत्त्वप्रकाशिन्या शोकमोहविनाशिनम्। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। ॐ नमो नारायणाय। 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 ॐ ऋतगं सत्यं परं ब्रह्म पुरुषं कृष्णपिङ्गलम् ऊर्ध्वरेतं विरूपाक्षं विश्वरूपाय वै नमो नमः। ॐ नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णुः प्रचोदयात्। हरि ओम, सुप्रभातम्। ॐ शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभांगं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिहृद्ध्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथम्। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। We will chant from the 6th shloka. Om अप्रमेयो हृषीकेशः पद्मनाभो मरप्रभुः विश्वकर्मा मनुस्त्वष्टा स्थविष्ठस्थविरो ध्रुवः Agrahya Shashvata Krishno Lohitakshav Pratardanaha Prabhutastrika Kubdhama Pavitram Mangalam Param Ishanah Pranadah Prano Jyeshtha Shrestha Prajapati Hiranyagarbho Bhugarbho Madhavo Madhusudanaha Ishvaro Vikrami Dhanvi Medhavi Vikramah Kramah Anuttamo Duradharshah Kritagnyah Kritiratmavan. Yesterday we had completed till Kritagnyah. 2 more namas in this shloka. Kritihi. Acharya explains, Purusha Prayatnaha Kritihi Kriyava. Purusha Prayatnaha means human effort and Kriyava, including the actions. Not only an effort put into action, to perform action, but including the action Kriyava. And that source of energy for both effort to perform action and the action thereof, both are or is only Bhagavan. Ishvaraha is the form of human effort, is in the form of human effort. When it is said, it means he is the energy, the source of power, the one who enlivens this human effort and the actions thereof. How? Sarvatmakatvat, Sarva Atmakatvat. He is the very Atma. He is the enlivening principle. Now you will find this particular thought actually remains in almost all the names. However, the names are so many because different way of looking at the same thing. Like for example, in your own house, one baby is born and then Namakarana is done. This example we have given earlier also. Krishna Murti. There will be one person calling him Krishna Murti. Another person calls him Murti. Third one calls him Krishna. Fourth one calls him Kittu. Address is to that one particular human being, to that particular man. But then 4 people call him in 4 different ways according to their joy. Is it not? I call him Kittu because I am more closer to him. I feel like calling him Kittu. By calling him Kittu, I feel very happy. Think. So by calling him by that name, if I am happy, then I call him that way. But there is another person who calls him Murti. Or let us suppose A.B. Murti or A.B. Krishna Murti. Then in the office circles they will call him ABK. We have one AGK here. Then there is one NGK here. We call him AGK or NGK. Why? Short form. Easier to call. Similarly, each one calls their own name according to their desire, according to their happiness. Khushi. Similarly, varied names are given, but it is one Bhagavan. And the source is that only Bhagavan for everything that happens, for all actions. Therefore, he is considered as the very basis of everything. Sarva Atmakatvat Tad Adharataya. He being the very Adhara, Adhisthana, Va Lakshyate Krityeti Va Kritihi. Therefore, it is his power, his energy, that alone which makes the effort for the action and the performance of the action. Therefore, he is also called by the name Kritihi. Continuing. Atmavan. This is a very interesting name. We have seen earlier 2 days back we saw. Bhagavan, the Shad Lakshanas we saw, or Sapta Lakshanas we saw about Bhagavan. Dhanavan, who has dhana. Viryavan, who has viryam. Vidyavan, who has got vidya. Therefore, Atmavan, who has Atma. This is how we will conclude. But we have to be very careful in understanding it in its true perspective. Bhagavan is not the one who has Atma. Rather, he is the Atma. Think. Sva Mahima Pratishthitatvat Atmavan. He is established in his own glory. Now we will understand this properly. When I say I am Dhanavan, that Nama Dhanavan is given to me based on something which is other than me. Dhana. Vidyavan. It is objective knowledge. Think. So anything other than me gives me the validity of that name. Shraddhavan. There it is not something other than me, rather not outside me, but it is definitely the faith that I have developed, and that Shraddha has given me the name Shraddhavan. But here, Swamahima. Swamahima means Bhagavan does not depend upon either external factors or certain qualities. He is called Atmavan because of he well established in his own glory. So here Atmavan is not the one who has an Atma. He is the one who is established in himself. In other cases, we are not established yet in ourselves. We are established with so many other things of the world. Is it not? Our identity is not as ourselves. Think. Our identity is other than ourselves actually. Think. I have an ID card. What is that ID card? What does it say? It says, I am an employee of this big company. Or I have a role to play in a particular trust or something, so I may carry a visiting card. All these are identity established with reference to the transactional world. Whereas Atmavan is that which is established in himself. Because he is the very Atma, he is called Atmavan. But here we should make sure we don't translate it as he has Atma like the others. He is the Atma. Continuing, the Chandogya Upanishad also establishes this point. Sa bhavaha kasmin pratishtita iti. Kasmin pratishtita, where is this bhava established? The Upanishad says, Sve Mahimni. Sve Mahimni, in his own self. We have to depend upon Bhagavan for us to be alive. If these hands have to function, the hands depend upon the inner being to energize the hand. The legs depend upon the inner being to energize the legs. Think. All objects of this world, for me to conceive, perceive, work with it, I have to depend upon that supreme principle. Whereas the supreme principle is established in Sve Mahimni, in his own self. He does not have to depend upon others. Alright, Atmavan. Continuing, taking up the next shloka, the 10th shloka. Suresha Sharanam Sharma Vishwaretah Praja Bhavah Ahas Samvatsaro Vyalaf Prat pratyaya sarvadarshana Suresha sharanam sharma vishwaretah prajabhava ahas samvatsaro vyalaf pratyaya sarvadarshana. In this shloka again there are 10 namas which are taken. We will see. The first nama is Sureshaha. It's a very common nama, very common, commonly known, well known and used also. Sureshaha. What is Sureshaha? Suresha means Suranam Devanam Ishaha Sureshaha. This is very commonly known explanation also. Suresha, Suranam Ishaha. But there is a little more deeper meaning which we have to go. To understand who are the celestial beings. Celestial beings we know. Indra, Varuna, Devataha. We know they are all celestial beings. But how do they get that position of Devata? To understand Sura, the better way is to understand Asura. It's a very interesting way of thinking. Asushu ramante iti asuraha, it is said. Asushu means sense pleasures. The one who ramante, who revels in asushu, in sense pleasures, they are all called asuraha. So from that standpoint, probably almost all of us, we all can be called as asuras. Why? We all revel in sense pleasures in something or the other. Think. What is this sense pleasure? Sense pleasure is nothing but that gaining which I should feel complete. That is what the purpose. If I say I have to drink a cup of coffee, by drinking coffee I feel so happy. I feel as though complete, as though. If I eat one rasagalla, I feel, oh, so wonderful, thank you. Is it not? Pleasure. Now the factor here is, the sense pleasure by itself is not a problem. Sense pleasure by itself would not actually make us such bad to call ourselves as asuras, but constant, continuous dependency on sense pleasures and going away from our path to enjoy the sense pleasure is condemned. And such people are called asuras. So here with this standpoint, normal human beings who have some little desire and enjoy and then leave it is okay, acceptable to a certain extent for the transactional purposes. But the one who goes away from normal life. Now see, we have so many people who do so many wrong things for the sake of what? Gaining pleasures. We see people who hoard or stack crores and crores of rupees. And how do they do that? By actually fooling the world, by deceiving their own people, by deceiving the government. All such people can be called definitely as asuras. Why? Because at the cost of others, people want to enjoy. Now if you see the Puranas, where asuras are seen, all of them are picturized with so much of, with the picture, like you see the cartoon pictures. The Devatas are picturized very beautiful. Whereas the asuras and demons are picturized so badly. What does that indicate? That indicates the nature of the mind. That indicates the wrong way of thinking. That indicates the quality and texture of thoughts that I entertain. Therefore, asuras, we need not always think of that demons who created so many trouble and things like that, like Ravana and other people. Our own mind can be an asura, our own mind can be a devata. Now see, Shobhana means what? Auspiciousness. Shobhana Datrinam. Datrina means the one who gives goodness, who gives auspiciousness, who creates wonderful atmosphere, who brings in the thought of God. All these people are called suras. Whereas those whose thoughts are reveling only in sense pleasures, they are directly called as asuras. Now think, how are we? We may say we are both suras and asuras. Why? We also entertain good thoughts at certain period of time, and we also entertain bad thoughts, wrong thoughts, pleasurable thoughts for most of the time, we may say. Think. So we are both. The one who entertains largely good thoughts for and goodness for the others, they are all called devatas. And they are all given a position in the celestial world, as it is called, and they work for the sake of the goodness of all. This is why they are called devatas, whereas asuras are all those who hurt, who cause injury, who cause pain, who cause suffering to others. In whichever way. An injury need not be always caused only physically. Even a disturbance caused in the mental level is also an injury only at the mental level. Think. Therefore, those who cause injury to oneself and others are called asuras. Those who cause goodness, who are the cause for goodness, who bring in auspiciousness, who bring in comfort, who bring in happiness to others, they are all called devatas. Therefore, suranam devanam ishaha sureshaha. Now here suranam are what? Not only the devatas, but also people who are having good thoughts. Su represents auspiciousness and Ra means the giver. The root Ra is to give, and then a prefix Su is added as Sura, Sureshaha. Continuing, Sharanam. Artanam Artiharanatvat Sharanam. There is a spelling mistake. It should have been Sharanam. It is Saranam here. We will correct it. Please correct yourself. There in your this one. Artanam, people who are inflicted by pain, suffering. It is Bhagavan who comes and protects them when they are sincere in praying towards the Lord. Pain and suffering is nothing but the state of the mind. They say, pain is for the body, suffering is for the mind. Both pain and suffering are caused because of our wrong relationship with the external world, things and beings. And the one who prays to Bhagavan with sincerity for the removal of pain, they are protected by Bhagavan. Please remember, sincere prayer with an ability to change towards good. These go together always. Sincere prayers with a readiness to change the way of thinking, to modify our quality and texture of thoughts, and then when we surrender ourselves at the feet of Bhagavan, then Bhagavan will definitely help us. Artanam Arti Hantaram. Arti here means what? People who are affected by pain and suffering. We have this similar, this one in our Rama Stotra. It says, Artanam Arti Hantaram Bhitanam Bhitinashanam Dvishatam Kaladandam Tam Ramachandram Namamyaham. We say in this shloka, Bhitanam Bhiti Nashanam. He removes that fear. Abhayam Pratishtham Vindate. The one who has surrendered at the feet of the Lord, to them, surrender meaning what? Total surrender at the feet of the Lord. And then to them, there is no more fear, there is no more pain, there is no more suffering. The next nama is Sharma. What is Sharma? Paramananda Rupatvat Sharma. Sharma indicates the Parama Ananda Rupa means Swarupa. He is of the nature of, form of supreme bliss. Although, now see, even at our level, in our own transactional world, all the little happiness what we gain, all those happiness which makes us feel good, which makes us feel lighter, which makes us feel to share with others, they are all nothing but Bhagavan's presence. Therefore, he, and this is not only at the Laukika Drishti, from the highest standpoint, he is the supreme bliss. Ananda Swarupacha, says Narada in the Bhakti Sutra. Ananda Swarupat. He is of the nature of Ananda. Continuing. Vishwaretaha. Retas means seed. Retas also means cause. Vishwaretas means the cause of this whole world. This we have seen in several other namas earlier. He is the seed, the bija of the whole universe. Alright. Therefore, Vishwaretaha. Vishwasya Karanatvat Vishwaretaha. Because he is the cause of the universe. This we have seen several times. Therefore, with that in mind, I proceed further. Praja Bhavaha. What is Praja Bhavaha? Sarvaha Prajaha Yat Sakashat Udbhavanti Sa Praja Bhavaha. He from whom all the beings arise. He from whom everything begins. Earlier we said he is a seed. As a seed, the seed has the potential. Gurudev used to call it as power potential. Power potential meaning what? A small seed. In fact, earlier we have seen there is one place, there is a huge tree, very huge, very large in its size. And what it drops is one plastic sheet kind of a seed. And there's a small little yellowish seed inside, and the seed is very beautifully protected. We should call it, for our understanding, polythene sheet. Very thin polythene kind of a cover. Naturally, nobody does any lamination there. Naturally it is it. But that little seed is capable of giving us a huge tree and millions of seed later. That is a power potential of that seed. And the Shruti says, he Parabrahma Swarupa Paramatma is the energy in that very seed. He is that potential in that seed which can manifest a huge tree. Sarvaha prajaha yat sakashad udbhavanti. Sarvaha prajaha, here praja means human being. Normally prajaha is human being, but we should also include every creature. From the unicellular organism to the most complex human being, the whole thing udbhavanti. Udbhavanti meaning what? It rises from. Saha prajabhavaha. Continuing. Ahaha. Prakasha rupatvad. Again, the similar, you remember I just now said, even though the meanings may be the same, the namas are many. Sometimes nama is only one, meaning are many. Sometimes meaning is one, nama can be many. Similarly, we find here ahaha, another beautiful nama, which is prakasha rupatvad ahaha. So he is the luminous. But there is a small difference here. What is the difference? Prakasha rupatvat here refers to like the day, meaning he is in the form of Surya Devata. Who is the Devata for the day? See, we have 24 hours. Out of the 24 hours, 12 hours is day and 12 hours is night. This is how it is considered. And this day, the luminous day, is because of the presence of Surya Devata. The energy in the Surya Devata is extremely important. Why? Because it is that which makes the Jiva Rashis to survive. If there is no Surya Devata, very many Jiva Rashis will go extinct. Therefore, as Surya Devata, he not only gives heat, he also gives light, and he makes maximum activity possible during the day. Maximum activity we do during the day. During the night, we do, some people work even during the night also. They are all called what? Nishacharas they are called. Some people work at night, but largely you will find people are very hyperactive during the day and rest during the night. Isn't it? This hyperactive is caused by the presence of the energy of Bhagavan. And how? Through Surya Devata. Therefore, Prakasha Rupatvat ahaha refers to the light and heat which is given to all of us by the sun, and Bhagavan is the energy behind the Surya Devata. Then comes Samwataraha. What is Samwataraha? We know Samvatsara is 1 year. Kalatmana sthitaha Vishnu Samvatsaraha ityuktaha. Kalatmana sthitaha Vishnu. Vishnu here again Bhagavan Narayana, Bhagavan, or also you may take it as a supreme God, represented by Vishnu, who is established in the form of time. What do I mean by established in the form of time? He is time. He is not in time, he is time. That is why I keep telling again and again, the first unit of time is second. Why? Because he is the first. And not only first, there is nothing called last, it goes on. The whole concept of time is nothing but Bhagavan himself. Samvatsara or a year being part of the time. So one more name is added. Now, when we have to, make a list of Sahasranama, then every aspect can be included and given a name. Let us suppose you have to make a Dashanama, list of Dashanama about yourself. Somebody else makes the Nama. Then he will look upon you. Who is this person? Okay, he is a tall person. Ajanubhava. And then he is a very brilliant person. Then give one name to it. Like that. Like how people at home give you so many names. Like that. So many names are given only to indicate the very nature of Bhagavan. Alright. Kalaha. This represents time. Next one is very, very interesting. Vyalaha. Vyalaha literally means serpent, snake. Now one may wonder, Swamiji, how can Bhagavan be called a snake? It has a connection with the previous Nama which represents time. Vyalaha actually says, he is that. Vyalavat grahitum ashakyatvat vyalaha. You cannot hold time. Time slips away. Kalaha kridati gacchati ayuhu. Bhajagovindam says. Kalaha kridati. The time will never stay. In fact, very wonderful one Acharya said, there is nothing called now. Because by the time you say now, it has become past. Think. So fast is the time. Time just flies away. And how Vyalavat. Vyalavat means like the snake. The snake never stays put. It is a figurative expression. We have to understand that certain examples cannot be stretched for everything. An example is given to indicate a particular aspect of it. Right? So when it is said snake, why Swamiji? Snake also stays in one place. Actually speaking, snake is the most restless reptile. To hold the snake is so difficult. You should ask the snake catchers how very difficult it is to hold the snake. Because it is so restless. Our mind is also so restless. And to hold the mind is so difficult. And what to talk of time? Your clock might stop, but time will never stop. If you don't put a proper battery, the cell, then watch will not run. When watch stops functioning, it does not mean time stops functioning. Time will continuously go on, and the time lost is lost forever. And then it is said, therefore he is called as Vyalaha. Why therefore? Because time is never under our control. One. However, Bhagavan has got the control of time, but because of its dharma, it will not stay. But it is he who gives us the time. Is it not? It is because of his blessings we have got time. Once the time comes to an end, he will never wait. Let us suppose Bhagavan comes and he says, my dear fellow, chalo, your time is up, let's go. No, he says, yo Bhagavan, what Bhagavan? Just now the engagement has taken place for my son. Let him get married then. Immediately. The date is also fixed, Bhagavan. This date he will get married. After that. So let us say, dramatize a little. And then Bhagavan says, "Theek hai, get ready on the next day." Next day he comes. You put a board. Come tomorrow. Naale ba. What is that? Ayyo Bhagavan. Just now he has got married. Let me see with these eyes. Let me see my grandson. What else is there in life, Bhagavan? Therefore, let me see the grandson. Grandson came. Then Bhagavan says, Chalo, let us go. I want this grandson to get into school and wear a uniform. This is our mind. Our mind can never be satisfied. Bhagavan will never, this is for this story I say, but Bhagavan will never wait. When the time comes, Ram Naam Satya hai. It will go. And therefore, he is also called Vyalaha because one, he cannot be grasped. Time cannot grasp him, but time is under him. Therefore, Vyalaha. Pratyayaha. What is Pratyayaha? Pratiti Prajna Pratyayaha. Pratyaya is what? Nothing but consciousness. All of us are conscious. Even when the class is going on, you are sitting in front of the class. You may never be in the class. Physical body is there, but mind goes away. How does the mind go away? Because of the presence of consciousness. Everything runs, everything happens because of the presence of consciousness. Minus consciousness, nothing can remain. This body, 98 years it can survive as long as consciousness is there. Some people live even beyond 100 years. Those days, people used to live for thousands of years, it seems. Satya Yuga, thousands of years. Then Treta Yuga, from 1000 it came, rather lakhs in Satya Yuga. Then in Treta Yuga, tens of thousands of years people used to live. In Dwapara Yuga, thousands of years people used to live. Kali Yuga, 100 years is a difficult task. In fact, people don't want to live for 100 years. Why? Who will take care of them? Think. So, that much of life what we are having, we are living, that life is consciousness. Minus that consciousness, the body will decay, will stink. It is because of the presence of the consciousness that I am able to survive, I am able to act, I am able to work and do everything, even though I am 98 years old. I knew one person who was 98 years old and he used to walk 3 kilometers a day at 98. At 58, we can't walk to the nearest shop to bring one vegetable. Think. At 98, he used to walk. Why? Because of his own lifestyle. He lived happily, he lived with lot of disciplines and he lived a longer life but very healthy life. 98 years, 4 months and 6th day, he passed away. Everybody were waiting for the 100th year actually. But he passed away. 98 years, this body worked very happily, strongly. But that 6th day onwards, the moment the consciousness passed away, within 24 hours, everything dismantles. Think. The body can never be held. It stings. You can't hold it also. It was such a difficult task to take that body to the crematorium. Why? It is so dilapidated. Think. Everything is possible because of the presence of consciousness. It is because of the presence of consciousness that I am able to see everything. I am able to transact with everything. I am able to eat. Think. All this only because of the presence of consciousness. Swami Vivekananda, a great saint of our times, cannot speak a word now. Think. A great orator master, Parampuja Gurudev. His life, his teachings are eternal. But the body, such a grand orator, cannot speak a word now. Think. This presence which makes everything possible. This presence which makes everything happen. That presence is Chit Swarupaha. And Chit Swarupaha here refers to consciousness. Sat Chit Ananda Swarupaha. Sat Swarupaha, truth, which is eternal existence. Chit Swarupaha, consciousness. And third one is Ananda Swarupaha, that we have seen earlier. So here Chit Swarupaha is indicated by this word Pratyayaha. Therefore, he is the very consciousness, and the Mahavakya in Aitareya Upanishad says, Prajnanam Brahma. Tad Brahma is nothing but Prajnanam, which is consciousness. And the last Nama in this shloka, Sarvadarshanaha, the one who sees everything. Sarvani Darshakatmakani Akshini Yasya Saha Sarvadarshanaha, whose eyes are of the nature of seeing. One who is all seeing. Just for the matter of understanding, all darshanas. Darshanas here what? Every forms. Everything what we see with reference to external world and the darshanas with our internal world. Everything is possible. Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha. Akshaha Sahasra refers to infinity. Sahasrapat, like that the Vedas mention, he has got thousands of eyes. What does that mean? It means he can see everything. Sarva Darshanaha, because he is the very source, he is the very energy because of whom seeing is made possible. Therefore, Sarva Darshanaha. Sarvatmakatvat Vishwatachakshuhu. Sarva Atmakatvat, because he is the very energy in everybody. Vishwatachakshuhu, all the eyes are his eyes only, and it is because of the presence of the Atma the eyes can see, and he sees through everybody's eyes. Vishwaksham iti shrutehe. In Narayana Suktam we have Vishwaksham Vishwashambhuvam. Sahasrashirisham Devam Vishwaksham Vishwashambhuvam. Vishwam Narayanam Devam Aksharam Paramam Padam. Therefore, Vishwaksham, he is the very eye of the whole world. The Upanishad, the Kena Upanishad says, Yan manasana manute yenahur manomatam. He is the mind of the mind. Yet chakshusha na pashyati yena chakshunshi pashyati. The one who does not see through the eyes, but the one who, the eye does not see, but the one who sees through the eyes. Tad eva brahma tvam vidhi ye nedam yadidam upasate. That alone is Brahma, that you remember, that you know, is what the call of the Upanishads. With this, we will conclude for today. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.